Hey Internet, it's me. Now, tonight's movie was The Omicron Killer. And going into it, I did not realize this was a sequel to The COVID Killer, which is a movie that came out 3 years ago. I have not seen that movie, but now I've seen this one. I'm kind of glad I didn't see the first one, because I kind of wish I hadn't seen this one. Okay, so the main issue here is that this is an indie film. They're trying to be humorous. They're trying to be a little tongue-in-cheek. You know, there's a lot of, references and gags and stuff that let you know how, they're not taking themselves too seriously. The doctor is Dr. Fruger, which is, Freddy Krueger, Fruger. A lot of stuff like that. The problem is, whether they're taking it seriously or not, they don't have the money to make this movie. The costumes are non-existent. A lot of the delivery is just very flat. People aren't good with emotion here. The lines were fine. They had no nonverbal acting, I'm trying to think of a good example of a line that just didn't land, but honestly, it's pretty much all of them. Right near the beginning, where the three thugs, corner the guy, and the one dude is like, hey, take out your wallet, give me your money. And he says it with about that much enthusiasm. If you're going to do that, and you're playing, a thug who, he's okay with violence, he's okay with hurting people, and he's trying to intimidate someone to get his way, he needs to come off as, big and bad and threatening. So you're not going to go, hey, give me your money. You're going to go, hey, give me your money! You really gotta put attitude into it. You gotta put anger into it. You gotta kind of get in the guy's face a little. You can't deliver that kind of line with no emotion. So, the whole movie is that. None of the lines are delivered with any kind of emotion, so none of them really just mean anything. You're just watching people read off lines. Also, like I said, the costumes are nonsense. And when you see the detectives, one's in an Ozzy Osbourne shirt, the other's in a Flash shirt, and they just have a badge on a chain. That's not how they would look. That's not a thing. Also, a lot of the sets are very lackluster too. Like the hospital in the beginning, there's a lot of kind of empty, nondescript hallways. This most likely was not filmed in a hospital. At one point, the killer is chasing down this girl in a old video / game store, where you, like a Blockbuster essentially. And you can tell they just had access to a business for the night and just filmed there. They didn't interact with the set at all, so clearly it wasn't a special made set. It was some other place they got permission to use, so they couldn't really affect anything around them. Just a lot of stuff like that, they cut corners where they could, or, they went the lowest budget option for pretty much everything because they clearly didn't have much of a budget. Which is fine. Not every movie is made on a big budget. I've been part of some that were made on pretty much no budget. But when you do those kind of movies, you have to, I don't know, you have to play it the right way. You have to be just the perfect amount of self-aware. With trauma films, it usually works. They're not my favorite, even though I'm in one, but I've seen enough of them and I can at least appreciate what they are and what they're doing. And they have a huge, following. There's a cult of trauma, essentially. Whereas this just, I don't know, it was on the wrong side of the line where it didn't quite make it. I will say, to their credit, the killer guy looks imposing. They cast a giant behemoth of a man, like a Brian Posehn-sized guy. It's just massive. So, he looks imposing. And he kills people with a crowbar, which is my weapon of choice in films where I get to kill people, so good on them for that. That's really fun. But overall, I don't know, there's not a lot of entertainment value in this one. I can see what they were going for. I understand what they were trying to do, and I can appreciate the effort. Um, because as indie filmmakers, like you don't get money, you don't get opportunities to do things. So you really just have to make do with what you have. The problem is sometimes that lack of resources just really leads to you coming up short. And I think that's where they are here. Now, I will say some of the stuff like the delivery, doing another take is free. You can get your delivery right, and that doesn't cost you any money. Make them go again and make them use some emotion. Make the lines believable. When the one guy, I think this was kind of near the beginning. I don't remember where in the film it was, but there's the one guy who was flirting with the Asian nurse, and they were going back and forth, and she was like trying to be flirty with him, mostly just get rid of him. But like, even that, it didn't really come across as flirty. It just, I don't know, she felt like she was rushing through the lines, and he was reacting to them, but the timing was off, and their tones were both off. It didn't work, and there's a lot of that. That's, I think, the biggest thing for this film, honestly, is if they could have made the acting and the delivery more believable, I think that alone could have saved this film and just made it more watchable. Like, it still would have been low budget, the sets and costumes and everything else, those cost money. But if you could have made the acting better and the delivery more believable, I could forgive pretty much everything else. So, yeah, I don't know. Because they didn't even get that right, this movie is just, it's not it for me. Yeah, that's really all there is to say. It's just not there. They don't do enough to make it entertaining. They don't put enough of their own effort into it. So as someone watching it, I don't have a good reason to care. And so I don't. And that's where I'm going to end this one. Disappointing, but, they can all be winners. So skip this movie, and I'll see you tomorrow.